Babushka lady. A nobody's encounter with the JFK assassin. The raw truth. The Babushka lady. A nobody's personal encounter with the JFK assassin. The raw truth. Copyright 2025. Stalker Watcher Publishing. stalkerwatcherpublishing@gmail.com. Introduction. Every 200 years they pull out the doomsday clock. A fresh pile of shit is created from the excavated ashes of the last catastrophe, called the press. They are the monkeys in the classroom typing what their masters tell them to. Thus it has always been. Media is dead. Instead of standing up for themselves and humanity, they chose a path of death, for us, for themselves. Once the clock strikes, the government kills them all. They cannot afford to have their knowledge seep into the minds of the future masses. The scorched earth policy is over. Let it be an unprecedented time for those who have the power to save the world, to drive the wrench in the shitwheel, to break its spell over the earth, and to see the truth, the light, and the glory of God Almighty to be experienced in the earth as it was always intended to be. Dedication. It is my true honor to dedicate this book to the President of the United States of America, the greatest President of the USA, President Donald Trump, my personal mentor from afar and a personal hero of mine, and it is because of his love for America, his genuine integrity and service to the American people, and for his commitment to the truth and to justice, for his work to provide answers to the presidential assassinations, attempts, and to bring peace and understanding to the people who lost so much on November 22, 1963, and to the memory and legacy that will always remain in the hearts of true Americans, that of American President and America's favorite son, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. We miss you for all you were to the dreams of so many. Preamble. Many will of course boo-hoo me, thinking that I am nobody famous, and what would I know? So, ask yourself, what purpose would it serve for a president assassin to confess to someone known? Well, it is 2025, not 1963 anymore, and things are different now, aren't they? The way people think, the way of life, the culture, the technology, and the knowledge of the universal human psyche have all shifted and become significantly more sophisticated in the last 60 years. How do you explain the upsurge in the quest for answers regarding this crime so long after the event? You have to go a little deeper for that answer. The ones responsible for the most heinous murder in history were not counting on that. They didn't count on this event to be even more important now than it was then. They figured it would all wash over and the memory of the event would fade into history. Oh, how wrong they were. Lies can be tested. She waited about 35 years to tell someone. I kept the secret 35 more years. I could not release this information without full confirmation. That would be crazy. She chose me. God chose me. What difference does it make? I never asked for this burden the governments of the world should be handling. My life and that of my family is threatened by G5B2K warfare by the same family holding us hostage, Danny Smythe and Desiree Van Dahl. It is because of them that everything I knew was confirmed. Is it a coincidence that Danny Smythe came into my life right after my relationship with Shirley Douglas ended, in Vancouver, where and when the pig farming operations of Robert Pickton were all the talk? And so now, it is that instead of solving one mystery, others have come to the surface. I tell you truthfully, if not for the outrageous amount of over-torture to my system, and, if not for the interception of my life by financial and political opportunists, none of this would be written in the first place. But before I go on, my goal in writing this book is to have it verified by polygraph. A hypnosis session is something I'd consider trying in this one instance, just to try and remember any other details she told me about the assassination of the president. I would love to see the findings of my verified book bring about clarity and full understanding about why this even happened so that we might see the end of such horrible crimes of treason. The difference between her and the governments of the Freemason order, that have up till now, been hidden in obscurity and silence, is that she told the truth. They absolutely used her. You have to read on to find out the rest of this trustworthy story. I was 20 years old when I heard her confession. I didn't really know too much about JFK, except for the information I learned growing up, like everyone else my age I suppose. After that, everything changed. I became obsessed with everything JFK from then on. What drove this passion was the fact that she proved physically the truth to me. She was a geologist and a damn good one. She taught me a lot. She told me about the mine up north with the natives she had employed there. How it was deep, a precious mineral type, and how she left her husband to die there. She hated him and her 2 sons equally. She left me that mine to prove her confession and bring about the truth that her conscience could no longer allow her to contain, and she did not want to go to her grave without telling someone, to make some amends. She was 14 and they made her train 7 years for the planned contract event. They already knew. JFK was once one of them, but they left a bad taste in his mouth, you might say. He was going to absolutely expose them. At any rate, I told my best friend after I saw Shirley for the last time in Winnipeg, and headed to Vancouver to try out life there. I had lived in Nova Scotia and I wanted to see the rest of our lovely nation. I wish I had seen it all coming. Her story. In 1963, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated. They blamed a Marine suffering with PTSD by the name of Harvey Oswald. He did not shoot Kennedy. In my book, JFK, The Duplicity of Treason, I go into more detail about everything Kennedy, but this book is being written about Shirley Douglas and how her relationship with the Kennedys came to be. The best part about Shirley was that she told the truth. You may think that only bad guys could possibly be presidential assassins, but that would be a misconception, just as thinking that any particular CIA, FBI, Secret Service, or other possibility out there, including the wide area of mobsters meandering around at the time. Those who were passing it on, sending the messages, shared the plans, and changed the sequences in midstream were all those who had some niche, connection, or way around a festival, or bottom line authority. That much of it can be easily established. It was really a flawed setup in that its hidden secrets were waiting to be uprooted in time, in the future, in the unknown. The unknown where you shouldn't fuck with the future because the future will fuck with you, the other unknown where anything is possible, especially when you don't expect it, and the unknown when it comes to the very essence of human experience and thought. The odds of my meeting this woman were 1 in 8 billion, right? I think that is really amazing. I presume it is an act of God, that she is speaking from the grave at this hour to help bring justice to the president she helped shoot down for bad man. She felt that guilt and confessed to me all that she went through on her journey. She wasn't just some random woman in a crowd that no one could ever find. She was created and placed there with a directive she trained for with the greatest of precision. She escaped to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. According to the things she told me that I could infer from all she explained and everything I have since come to read and understand about that day causes more than the usual amount of reflection to be had as in hindsight and consideration of the other writers of the past and their insights compared to the modern ones, including all findings using the new technologies, and uncovering the Warren Commission's lies. The description given in 1963 spoke of the first 60 minutes after the shots were fired. I feel like the first minute after shots were fired, a series of quick events took place in sequence to bring about an array of pandemonious deception. I have seen the effect of mob breakouts of terror, as I call them. Is it much different from a surprise mob mall performance? Is it? Come on. Where do you think all these ideas come from? They were invented. Eventually, new things are invented and the old inventions, no longer useful, fall to the wayside. Just as the machinations of old lose their windings. The springs fall off, gears and other gadgets take their place, until now, we have digital technology, and the world must bow down to the inevitable. Truth that surfaces regardless of man's interventions. They could not foresee the future and had no idea how much the death of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy would haunt them all, from the fake pictures of Lee Oswald, to all of the fake commission findings ever told. Carrot, 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 carrot. What led to my encounter? I was dating the son of a Mandarin princess at the time. His name was Tony, well, in English you might say. I met him at my job as an inventory clerk. My boss, Ross, ironically, made a strange statement to me one day out of the blue. He said, "You're just one of those people who knows everything, aren't you?" He meant it respectfully. Because I kind of do, you know. We hit it off at work as friends, and after I'd known him a while, he invited me over and said he had a roommate, an older lady, that shared the rent. I was okay with that because of the young man's character to begin with. I could tell instantly that theirs was a platonic relationship. Sure, I found him somewhat stuck up and spoiled, but he came from a life where his narcissist mother thought she ruled the world with her status. We were young, he was cute, what can I say? We drove to an apartment condo complex in southwest of the city. We entered the building and walked to the door where Tony inserted his key and opened it. It was a two-bedroom average-size apartment with modern decor. The kitchen and living room were on the right. The bathroom and Tony's room were on the left. Her room was right in the middle. She was there in her room with the door shut when we arrived. Tony knocked on her door and they exchanged a few words before she said, "Well, come on in." The door opened to her small bedroom. She was sitting up in her bed with some reading material watching TV. She shut it off, turned to sit up, reaching out her hand as she introduced herself as Shirley Douglas, and so we all said hello. She wore glasses and her shoulder-length hair was rather unkempt and thin. That big brown mole on her forehead stood right out, but she had a pleasant way about her and a charming friendly smile. At this point I had no idea who this person was. I know that my boyfriend Tony didn't either. The first couple of times I hung out with her were spent in talking about anything and everything. She was digging, wanting to know who I was, what kind of person I was, and all about my own true nature. She told me equally as much about herself. She even told me she was bisexual and asked if I was interested. I wasn't. That was okay with her. She was very respectful of other people's spaces and never pushed herself on me in that way. Besides, she told me she had a hot young 35-year-old truck driver that came into town once a month for a good time. She did that coochie baby thing I'd seen my grandmother do. She had a sense of humor and an intelligent mind. She did make me laugh. Ultimately, my relationship with Tony ended in mutual acceptance that we were not for one another. I remained friends with Shirley Douglas after that time. I'm telling you who she was before I tell you what she was. She was someone who told the truth about the worst crime in history. They used her and at the end she got them back by testifying to me, only because she knew she was dying with leukemia. They treated her badly like they do all women. She was convenient because she was a woman and no one would have even considered that a woman would have been used at the time of the event. We became friends over the next year and a half. There is plenty to say about her existence that the Assassin Corporation tried to hide, which is everything about her. She told me her story, not someone else, not anybody else, me. Carrot, 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 carrot. She told me many things about herself over the year and half we were acquainted. I thought it would be quite extra to include the interesting points about her life, family, and career. She was a geologist/miner when I met her. She was a brilliant lady and spoke to me about geological mysteries and mining operations. She had one up in northern Manitoba. She had quite a deep pit there. The native people were friendly to her. The woman told me about her husband, what a jerk he was, and that she had him placed in there with the native women. Never saw him again, she said. Oh. I was a little taken aback, yes. Then I met a lady who glued her husband's balls together and fed him steak coated in cat litter for cheating. So, I try not to judge. Yeah. I thought you'd find her character interesting too. Besides the stories about her nasty husband, she talked about her 2 sons. She said they were ungrateful assholes or ungrateful somethings that never appreciated anything and were just like their father. But wait, there's more. Towards the end of our friendship, before I went to visit my uncle in Vancouver, she indicated to me that she might have to throw Tony in there too. That has kind of haunted me a little. Maybe she had done this many times. I couldn't say. There was that assassin side to her after all. I told my Uncle Ed about her. No one else, ever. He brushed it off more or less. It may have even been the reason for his murder, if he said anything to the men present at the time, which may have included Danny Smythe. It would not be wise to mention all the names at this time. I'm keeping that on ice for now. We ate out, went shopping, drove around, she drank, we smoked cigarettes, and talked as she showed me the inside of her briefcase, which contained files and sealed envelopes. I don't recall seeing any of that, but she showed me blueprints, mining documents, and geological findings for the province of Manitoba, which indicated that the Madrid would strike the fault line all the way from the Mississippi, all the way through the Red River and forks of Winnipeg. I believe that was 1988. Carrot, 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 carrot. One day. At the time, in 1988-ish, I was dealing with an MPI claim. They were ripping me off. That's just what they do. My lawyer was Robert Tapper. The accident was not my fault. Somehow this subject came up between Shirley and I in conversation. Ah. That's why she confessed to me. The realization came long after. I was in the middle of negotiations with MPI and I happened to have an appointment to see Robert Tapper shortly. She asked if she could tag along, just to observe, to make sure I wasn't being ripped off. Like she had been. And there we were sitting in his office. She was awesome, the way she played it all. I had no idea the whole time that she was toying with Tapper hardcore. The way she sat there so very confident, arms relaxed in her lap, her gaze, fiery drills boring into him, in perfect calm silence, made me see that she was the one in control. I could see it all but had no way of understanding the meaning of the undertones taking place there. But, boy, was he hot up. It was fear that I saw. I know it when I see it. I see fear in all the guilty when they look at me. In this case, I had no idea I was the cause. Because of the encounter, Tapper was very angry with me. I didn't understand, of course. He gave me shit for her presence, for bringing her. I did ask if it was okay if I brought a friend and there was no objection at the first. Well, he ended up making a very shady deal behind my back as a result of the encounter, and I lost over $3 million, he pocketed. The suffering he caused me made me want him dead for the next 20 years. I finally got over it. But then they came for another round. Canada is a false nation. They stole my life. You must understand I am doing this for the right reasons, for justice, for truth, to save the world from these dark enemies. I am not going to lie about the vengeance I long for the multiple tortures I have endured, so there is a personal satisfaction that I derive from writing this true story. Soon after, she invited me to come over. I had nothing better to do. It was the weekend. I was off work. So I drove over. We had a coffee and sat down in the living room. She sat in a recliner by the fireplace and I sat on the Chesterfield. The coffee table between us contained our ashtrays because people still smoked in their homes at the time, and our refreshments. She started to speak to me in a serious tone, and what she was about to tell me I had no idea what was coming. Remember that I was only about 20 years old when she confessed this to me. Sure, I knew who JFK was, but I was not informed of any of the history as I was born in 1968, only 5 years later. She had no one else. I was it. On the other hand, she could not have known who she was telling. So this is what she told me. She was imprisoned at the age of 14 for some stupid misdemeanor or because a couple of perverts wanted to have some fun, in South America, and I can't remember what country she said exactly now, but it was deeper than Mexico. She described the horrible conditions of the iron-barred concrete cell. The guards there were vicious, and when they tried to rape her, she killed them. Two men in black hats and trench coats came there, approached her in that place and made her an offer in exchange for her release from the South American prison. They told her she could be released from that place under their custody to work for them. They put her in a training program which lasted a long while. She didn't seem to have had any advance notice that the job was to assassinate President Kennedy with a group of others. Nor did she have any choice, regardless. It was an offer she could not refuse. The CIA and the men in black. If you ever wondered who they were, you're about to find out. The color jet black is associated with witchcraft. Witches know that it absorbs energy. Hair, nails, clothes are all gateways to your soul. How? It says you are available to be used of the devil. The men in black are nothing but high-ranking Satanist Freemasons. The CIA is the name they work under in some if not most cases. This is the truth. Before I go on, let's establish the fact the evidence and her confession both confirm that Oswald did not shoot Kennedy. However, he may have shot Officer Tippit because the mind control made him do it, stating that Tippit was trying to kill the president. Just something to consider. It happens all the time. Mayor Cavalla was passing notes to the FBI and arranged for the route to be changed within an hour of the last ride. There were several shooters and Shirley Douglas there in Dallas on November 22, 1963, and she said Lee didn't do it. Rumor had it he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Don't forget they had two pictures of him they tried to doctor up back then, and that his name was spelled differently within the official reports. His peer employee was also severely harassed and threatened. The description given was that the officials were doing a heavy pressure interrogation on anyone they could in the event that someone could be found guilty by any association therein. We must consider all the players, however insignificant they may appear. Many mistakes have been made in investigations because the preps were so well hidden in places not normally checked, not obvious perhaps. She was paid off by Robert Tapper Sr., and she told me he even ripped her off. She also explained to me the reason why Robert Tapper got so excited was because she made his father cry. The reason I want to make it known now is because of what Danny the Devil Smythe and Desiree Van Dahl did to me. They are trying to do to me what they did to Harvey Oswald. The elites used Robert Tapper Sr. to pay off all of the shooters. His son Robert Tapper robbed me of a few million back in 1989 because he is a real stinker just like his dad was. He was nasty and told me to take what he gave me. Like that, $17K. He was short $3 million then. Now I want interest. Greg Brodsky's attorney of the Manitoba Crown was also involved in this scam, being a friend, whatever that was supposed to mean. Danny Smythes is a big warlock and was involved from the start. I know this miraculously because I accidentally came across the article on the dark web back in 1999 or 2000 when I didn't even know about him, and long before the lynch mob started. It was his initiation photo with the pointy hat and robe that I came across in 2000, being a computer technician, and was just playing around hacking some onions when I came across the photo that caused me to stare for a very long time, cataloging every detail, for a later planned time when the dumbass came onto me, intercepted my life for financial gains which led ultimately to their capture. All serial killers deeply want to get caught. They don't understand their own captivity. Judging by the sheer size of the lynch mob that was done to me, I would say there were others involved from Winnipeg. If you think about how desperately the Winnipeg Police Board began to enforce the lynch mob further rather than stop the hate crime still ongoing as of May 12, 2023. There are mobsters guys in Lyra and in our political circles that were also involved and worked diligently to destroy anyone who knew. There were a group of demonic men who were lawyers with an agenda. None of these people practice law. They practice child sex trafficking now. They practice stealing from the public and the private bank accounts of the citizens they no longer protect. They willfully destroyed a city and an entire government by hiring prison inmates to do policing. The number of police officers murdered in Winnipeg alone by these rogue criminals released by the Trudeau government is astonishing, given that they remain above the law upon discovery. Right? I told one person about Shirley and word got to the JFK assassin group because that person didn't realize what Danny Smythe really was. The Rosicrucian Molochians swept in on my mind that Shirley Douglas had left me to prove the truth of it all. Now my province of Manitoba is playing vicious G5 fifth-generation war games on me and my family. It has never ceased. It is time for President Trump to do exactly what he promised. Conclusion. From everything she told me, they had fixed everything in advance, including everything to make Oswald look like a spy. Kennedy's death was a mastermind plot concocted by world elites and the Freemason Religion Benevolent Society. JKF knew that they were in fact a malevolent society and was trying to set us free. As for Tony, I think she did him in. Sent him to the pit with the others, a pit I'm afraid is being used to this day. 5 years later Robert Kennedy was shot 3 times. That is another story that is deeply connected. I believe Danny Smythe shot Robert Kennedy. I did hear him mention that he did that act of shooting a president. If it wasn't Robert Kennedy, it was a top Hells Angels president the triangulators were referring to. I know Bishan is innocent. So do the Kennedys. The Reagan administration's investigation proved that hoodlums were working with major banks in transferring funds to the assassins, etc. In Canada, the Scotiabank is the one the mobsters use. It is this bank that is constantly stealing money from the public bank accounts, like they did mine in 1990-ish with the Manitoba Crown. They are welcome to prove me wrong. Precedent is Al Capone stating he did not know where Canada Street was. He was working with the thugs in Winnipeg doing slave trading, human trafficking, and booze running. Give me a break. I expect to be questioned. I expect this book to be verified as truth. Someone is going to have to do their job. Murdering the world is not going to be an option anymore. I want a voice, press, lawyer, polygraph, hypnosis, and even the chronovisor if necessary. The truth is now. Justice is now. Everything is about to change. Challenges. Bring them. Desiree Van Dahl wanted this book released more than anyone. Pictures. Bibliography. Kennedy Sorensen 1973. Contract on America. JFK, The Case for Conspiracy. High Treason to Harrison Edward Livingstone. Numerous privately kept news articles. Personal relationship with Shirley Douglas. Note, back cover or inside sleeve.